Kyle.
Sunny.
We're back, baby.
Hey, everybody. Very exciting. Very
Uh-oh.
exciting.
Today's going to be a banger.
Today's going to be a great day because during the convoy, the Great Canadian Trucker Convoy, which was like a year and a half ago today, we had one interview that went absolutely, gangbusters. And that was with
The one and only Pat King.
one and only Pat King.
Yeah.
And since then, Pat has had, a hell of a journey and has been basically to hell and back and is continuing a fight. And we're very grateful today to have Pat come on and share. So, we're going to dive in. We're using this Restream platform. We're trying to broadcast out to Facebook, to Twitter, to YouTube, and to Pat's Facebook as well. Hoping Pat gets his Facebook activated. He's saying it's not sharing to his page, but we're monitoring this. Sonny, is there anything you want to add?
No, I'm just excited. I mean, let's get, I don't know if we can help Pat with his situation here, but we can bring him on and get going. I'm just trying to see if his Facebook feed is working or not.
Okay.
Yeah, but he's saying it's not. So what do you want to do, Kyle? I'm
Bring Pat on. Let's go. Let's dive in. And are you seeing it working on his page?
I am not, and I'm just trying to check. Maybe just give me a few seconds. Keep him entertained.
Little slow start today. So, I'll just give a little preface too, because right before this, we were on with Pat's lawyer as well, understanding the parameters. Because Pat spent almost 100 or spent 150 days in Canadian jail without charges, and is still embroiled in a lawsuit that has cost an unbelievable amount of money, and all for participating in a peaceful protest, in this Great Canadian Trucker Convoy where, over the course of 3 weeks, close to 1 million people came to Ottawa to stand arm in arm, shoulder to shoulder, in happiness and in celebration and seriousness, with a civic responsibility as an underlying kind of principle, because, I think many of the people, including Pat, felt that, Canadians who are concerned specifically about the fake vaccine mandates, that were floating around, had no ability to engage with government and with policymakers. So, naturally, when it doesn't look like you have any options, you come together in a show of civic engagement. And so that transpired in the form of the trucker convoy. And Sonny, I remember talking to you when the trucks rolled by your house in Toronto. You were so lit up because, you said you'd been living in in a silo, in a box for so long, and then going out there to the overpass and seeing so many other people sharing that same feeling was incredible. So
it was something else.
It was the start of something incredible. But let's without further ado, let's bring on Pat and let's fire this up and let's see if we can sort out making sure that this is streaming out to Pat's page as well, because I know Pat has a lot of people who are very interested in listening and participating in this discussion this evening.
All right, he's here.
How's it going, guys?
The man, the myth, the legend. Welcome, Pat.
He's here. I can see that in there. It's now sharing my personal Facebook page. And
nice.
I'm just going to go to my personal page. And we're on there. So for some reason, it doesn't want to share to my actual page. And I don't know why. And I don't, probably some other nonsense. But I'm just going to share it over to a group, I guess. No, I don't even know if I can do this correctly, but it is obviously blocking my page from being shared on Restream, but it's not blocking my personal page. So I'm going to just copy the link and then go to my other page and do it. But hey guys, how's it going?
There we go. and Sonny's just put across the bottom. Put that back up there, Sonny, because this is a clear disclaimer. Pat's appearance on the show this evening is for fundraising purposes to help with his legal defense. That is the way that Pat is permitted, according to the justice system in Canada, to be able to use social media. So welcome to the fundraiser for Pat. If you want to donate via email money transfer, please email natasha.calvino@gmail.com. And the password to attach that is Ottawa. So with that aside, Pat, let us know when you're ready, but I'm very eager to hear, what you've gone through. I know you can't talk specifically about, what transpired during Ottawa, but following Ottawa and the last, year and a half, I would love to hear your story and for you to share and open up about what's taken place and where you are now.
Thanks for having me on. I shared this to my page just as a link. It's probably not going to get that much traction, but all that aside, so last time we talked, Kyle and Sonny, we had a good conversation going. It's actually gone pretty viral within the circles of everybody out there. I just know that my life's been turned upside down, pulled from one side to the other, and then let's shake it up a little bit more and then add some turmoil, I guess I could say, with going to jail for 150 days. And the most, I don't know, we weren't in like Russia or in Mexico or any of those third world countries where you would have, well, maybe not third world, but the rougher prisons. But the prison that I was in, the remand center in Ottawa, Carleton, was horrendous. It was one of the horrible places you could ever be. I did go through a lot of mental torture while I was in there, from the guards to the inmates to location even. It was put in solitary confinement for 33 days. I didn't know which day was which. I went through after that, they pulled me out. And that was to make sure I didn't have COVID. And and then that's what their excuse was anyway. And then I went to the maximum security wing after that. I went into like 23-hour lock. Well, it was basically 23 and a half hours lockdown. And I was on the murder wing, which is called one wing. And I was paired up with a double homicide guy. And I had to stay in that wing for about just a little over a month and a half. And then the guards actually came to my rescue in some way by saying, "Why do you guys got this guy down here in a maximum security wing with murderers and psychopaths when he's in here on a mischief with no criminal record? Well, a juvenile record, but no serious criminal record. So why is he in here?" And a couple of the guards were like, "Well, we're just going to teach him a lesson, right?" Or something like that along them lines. Well, the guard came up and he fought for me to get put in the general population, where I got to leave after and go down and kind of have a little bit of a more breathing room. It was a bunk style area, but still horrible conditions, no air conditioning, dead of the summer. But that was just the tip of the iceberg. So then 150 days later, we go through 3 bail hearings. One of the bail hearings, obviously the first one was canceled. They weren't letting me out, not a chance. So there wasn't even don't even know why we attempted. Second bail hearing, I ended up getting 2 corrupted lawyers that were railroading me. And we actually have a serious complaint into the Ontario Law Society that's escalated from an investigation to an actual forensic audit of what they did to me. Those details in itself show just a small glimpse into the corruption within the judicial system. To go into more details, the guy was talking about how he could get any lawyer he wanted to. He's the one who elects the lawyers, is on the board that selects the lawyers, and I can handpick whoever I want. Mentality, and then end up finding out that there's a lot more deeper deeper issues that went on, and I'm not going to speak on those because it goes to help the case here, and I'm not allowed to really go into detail on some of the parameters of my trial. But so we get out of that, and then I find, and you've had the pleasure of meeting my lawyer, Natasha Calvino. She's an absolute angel. She came in and was able to undo the mess that had been done over the 100 days, and that I was in, and ended up getting me out on a bail hearing, on a bail review, but not without its conditions. There's massive conditions that I'm up against. It's to the point that, like, I can't go out after 10 o'clock. I'm door knocked after 10 p.m. in between the hours of 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. I'm not allowed to talk about my trial, not allowed to talk about my my involvement in things, and that's on a case-by-case basis for that, and that's understandable there, but not allowed to be on social media, period, unless it's for fundraising purposes. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is for fundraising purposes. All donations, as you can see, is in the bottom there, can be sent to natasha.calvino@gmail.com. But I got to say it like that. It's like, that's the limits that I'm under, that if I don't focus and keep that focus on for fundraising purposes, I can be breached and I can go to jail at a moment's notice. Fast forward to what we've been gone through now, like, Kyle, it's been over a year and a half since we talked. So much has happened, but in the long run, when you see it, I still have my bank accounts frozen after 2 years. I still have no access to a bank. I use a Money Mart prepaid card that I get my disability checks deposited into. I haven't been able to, like, basically retain any work because my skill of work takes me out of town. I'm an oil and gas guy, and I go out of town and I go to work, and I got to be able to be out of town for months, sometimes 21 to 30 days at a time, and past the hours of 10 o'clock if I got to work 10, like night shifts and stuff. So I haven't had that ability, and I haven't really had much of a life over the last 2 years, all because of, and you guys are aware of what happened, but I seem to be the guy that got the brunt of it the hardest. And I'm not playing the poor me pity card, whatever we did. It is what it is. But at the same time, I would have never thought that in a million years that you would get your bank accounts frozen for saying no. You would get conditions worse than any murderer or pedophile out there. You would be denied your right to a fair trial, denied your, all these things that have culminated throughout over this last 2 years. It's unreal. We still have guys that are in jail for, I think they're pressing 600 days now, for they haven't been able to get out of jail either. I'm one of the lucky ones. Thank God for my lawyer, I was able to get out. So we've been stuck trying to do fundraising events, trying to do auctions, do everything we can, because the bank. So what happened is the Crown understands that I don't have access to my bank account. So, okay, we'll give him back his social media for fundraising. But what they haven't addressed is the fact that they were even allowed to freeze my bank account for so long that it's been frozen. And here we are, all from the outcome of a peaceful, positive message protest that, in my mind, I think it's your God-given right when things are wrong to speak up, and it tells itself in true fashion, as you're seeing now, 2-year ripple effect. The ArriveCan scam app that's going on now. They're in committee and they're being investigated by the RCMP. This is what we were trying to bring up. We're bringing up COVID mandates were illegal, and in my province of Alberta, they've been deemed by the Supreme Court to have been illegal mandates on us. So when we look at the ripple effect of what happened, yeah, I've got this severe conditions and possible losing 4.5 years of my life, because they're looking at 4.5 years indictable offense. It doesn't seem right. It's like, okay, you're right on this end, but we're gonna reprimand you for being right. And they not only that, they froze. So when they froze my bank accounts, everybody says, oh, well, we've got Bitcoin, or we've got cryptocurrency, we've got means to, have other ways of using a bank. But my cryptocurrency was actually frozen, and it is still frozen to this day. And I know you're big on the crypto, Kyle, but it doesn't make sense how I was so badly hit and had everything stripped of me. Like my vehicle was stripped away, taken and sold at auction. My life insurance were canceled. My driver's licenses were suspended. They basically took every right I had, and it is a right to drive, to travel. It is a right. They took every right, stripped every right away from me, just because we said no, just because
you were standing up for the right to be able to travel, to the right to be able to drive, to the right to be able to board a plane without, an experimental fake vaccine, forced on you. And, it's so telling that what you've just shared, with what has come to light in the last 18 months, regarding the incredible missteps, corruption, inside deals, unethical behavior, and the fact that you standing up, being loud, and being, one of the catalysts and one of the most energetic figures within a peaceful protest movement, ends up bearing so much prejudice and targeted attack. And this is something that a lot of other people who weren't as involved, like there were people who simply donated, who had their bank accounts shut down. And we really, like, both Sunny and I, one of the reasons we've got into the whole Bitcoin space was for inclusion and the opportunity to, to avoid the potential censorship that could come down the road. And, that's exactly, what ended up happening. And they almost celebrated it too, and were laughing about the fact that this all took place. But when actually hearing your story, people haven't heard your story. I mean, some people have, your community has, but a lot of people don't know truly what took place. The fact that there are still, effectively political prisoners. What are you charged with officially?
So officially, I'm charged with mischief, counseling the mischief, intimidating law enforcement, failure to abide by an injunction. I think that's the meat and potatoes of it. I think they've got resisting as well. I think the resisting is. I think I might have fixed this problem. Hang on 1 second.
Okay. It would be interesting to see, like, this is where like a jury would be nice, like of people to actually, look at, oh, hello, look at all
there we go.
These people. Let's go.
There we go. Ah, man. I don't know what happened. It was on private. It was on private. I had to make the post public.
All right. Well, we're public now, so welcome everybody. I'm Kyle Kemper. This is Sunny Ray Below, and right here is our main man, Pat King, the man, the myth, the legend. He has gone through quite the journey over the last little bit. Has deep knowledge now of the incarceration system. And I will also say, one of my friends also like spent some time in in jail during probably the same time, and he said it because of the COVID nonsense that they were applying to it all. Like, it was especially terrible. They had they had all these new powers to just be absolutely inhuman and inhumane. And from the sounds of it, basically all of our charter rights are kind of thrown to the window, because one of the things that happened was the judicial system like basically shut down during the whole pandemic, and then once it booted back on, it was not an independent branch. It was kind of being subservient to the government. So we're still kind of dealing with that, and we still have this coalition government that we have zero accountability towards, and we have no recourse as citizens who are pissed off. Like, what can we do? They say vote, but it's like, come on, really? Is making a little check mark gonna solve our problems here, Pat? Or do we need, like, people of courage to stand up and judges to fulfill their oaths, and police officers to fulfill their oaths?
Well, the way I bring it up like this is, it is our duty for first and foremost, it is a citizen's duty to be mindful and watchful of the people that we place in charge of our affairs. So if you're not exercising your duty, as a citizen, to make sure that these guys are towing the line and following the rules, it's going to get away on us, and that's what's happened. Now, at this point right now, it needs to be brought up to in a really fast way and in a really important way. It needs to come back to a more structured system where we are in charge, where we are able to, carry on and make sure that we overwatch these guys. The most part of this is, I think the system's gone too far. I think that there is a definite restructuring of where people actually need to be arrested before we can start to see any kind of change. We know these people are corrupted. We know what they've done. We know the illegal, okay. And I'm going to bring it back to a personal level with you, Kyle, but, Justin's involved with the nanolipid particles out of the University of BC and aqueous business that had the only licensed human trials for this. And that's a conflict of interest right away, being a parliamentary person, to overstep your guard and push this onto people. And then you're getting kickbacks and shares. That's a fiduciary, right? That's a fiduciary crime. When you're a partner in a business, and then you use your political influence, which is the most powerful influence here, to make sure that everybody gets this to everybody. And I double back, and I make millions of dollars on this. It's not just him, though. There's, these other people that were involved, our health industries that were involved. Everybody that was involved with what was going on should all be held accountable, and quick, not just, oh, we'll wait, let this ripple effect come back to us, and then we'll deal with it at that time. Here we are 2 years later, and we're already seeing that ripple effect with places such as GC Strategies, with committees that are going on. But what happens is, our government institutions comes in and roadblocks it. Our government institution comes in and blocks it from being even able to be investigated. And I don't think that there is a means to fix this, in my mind, in my own opinion. And this is for fundraising, ladies and gentlemen. But in my opinion, I don't think it can be fixed. I don't think officers have the balls enough to step over rank because they're so scared of losing their jobs. It's beyond me when you say you take an oath. You take an oath to protect the citizens and uphold the Charter of Rights or the constitutions in any country. But it's another thing to actually follow through with your job and do it and not be scared of reprimand. But these people have all been fear-mongered into being nervous and scared if they speak up, that unfortunately we're not able to see a change or see these people have the fortitude to stand up against people such as our governments. What I think it is it's the citizens' duty now. I think it's the citizens' responsibility, because it's us who put these people into power. It's us who put these people into their positions. So how can we do this? We can do this one of two ways. I'm going to go with the most peaceful way all times, every time. And that is going to be what needs to be done. But I have a bad feeling that it's not going to work. And that's the scary part, because what they've done to us and what they have attempted to do to us is to basically stifle anything that we do. They make a message of us. They take people such as myself or the other co-accused people. They put them up as absolute terrorists in the minds of the general public. So it deters even police officers. It deters doctors. It deters a lot of people from even speaking out about what's actually happening.
Well, you had a hard time even just finding legal representation, right?
That's it. Yeah. Like it was impossible to find a lawyer that would represent me.
No.
So,
and I'm sure also on the media side, people were like, no, like stay away from this. Like just the fear that so many people were operating of like upsetting, but against this all. And we know, having looked like, in retrospect, in hindsight, we can just see all the nonsense from the staged photos to, I come back to this notion that you can't the Canadians that came together to go to Ottawa came there out of passion, out of purpose, to send a message, to try and open a dialogue. There were doctors, nurses, security, heads of industry, all coming together from all over to try and have a discussion around some of the facts. Now, the thing about a lie, and you can't really defend and debate lies. So even if it had been 10 million people, there's no like to the government and to the health authorities, like to actually entertain and have an open discussion about some of the topics that everybody has all the evidence around. They can't, because that involves having an open, honest debate. And when they do that, it's very clear that they're in the wrong. So what do? You can't engage. So what do? You enrage. So what do? They use their bullshit media to spin up like lies. They send the photographers out there to get staged photos that then become all like, this whole thing, along with this branding of, super right, far right. And it's just in like, some people are very susceptible to that. And we've seen that through and through. And unfortunately, there's two realities of what went on in Ottawa. There was the reality of what actually took place inside the bubble, if you will, or of people who were there connecting, feeling that heart energy, feeling that creative communal engagement, the civic responsibility in action. And then there was the media matrix version, which was like, stay away. This is a terrible, terrible place to be. Don't go near there. Don't engage with them. It's very dangerous. And, I had really good people, really good friends of mine who were like, oh no, I would never go down there. A bunch of uneducated hillbillies. Like, how dare you talk about people in that manner? Like, that is not a sign of intelligence. It doesn't matter how many degrees or how many letters you have after your name. When you disrespect people coming together out of shared purpose and passion, who are actually standing up for your rights, you should give them honor and respect the fellow individual. So thank you, thank you, Pat, and thank you all the truckers, and thank you all the people. Thank you, Sunny, for going down there. Thank you to everybody who came out, and participated in what was an incredible 17 days or 20 days of, as I've called it, freezing man, like Burning Man, but in Ottawa, where we saw all the principles in full action. Yeah. And then at the end of the day, like, the security guards came in, they cleared the club, and they did it really aggressively, but they wanted to do it aggressively because they like those images. It's like, it wouldn't have been the same if you didn't get that bullshit, that terrible horse trampling thing. But like that, those also send messages to not do this stuff again. And it's like, it's intimidation. And it's like, showing that, we've done this, we do this. And that's what they did after the SPP summit in Montebello too, back in the day. Stockwell Day came out and was like, oh yeah, they had provocateurs in the crowd trying to throw rocks, but the protesters caught them. Then the provocateurs jumped into the police line. There's a photo of them all wearing the same boots. And then, it came out. And then Stockwell Day, who is the public safety minister at the time, said, you know what? Like, yes, we did that. And all the media, you know what they say? Oh, yeah, they did that. Like, okay, next, moving on. And it's just like, that's it. Really? We're not even going to discuss these things at all. Like, we can't, like, you what? But again, so, that's why after this whole thing, I had to look like, what can we possibly do if you can't bring together this gathering like what happened in Ottawa to trigger a discussion or create a debate or like, change policy that doesn't make any sense, what can we do? What can you do? So I wrote the book called Canada, how we make how can we return power to the people, which original title was Why We Don't Need a Prime Minister Anymore. Because, looking at, we need rights for able to have referendums. We should be having, the ability for Canadians to actually vote on policies, because right now it's become of the party, by the party, for the party. And Canadians have very little recourse, and they'll say, "Oh, just go over and vote." And sorry, but making one check mark on a page every 4 years that doesn't cut it. And then there's no accountability for when they actually get into office if they turn out to be a turncoat.
Well, there's more to this as well. Like, so badly, like this account on my account was actually shared to Restream. But right now, so going through all this to try and figure out why it's not sharing to my main Facebook page, because we would have thousands of comments going right now. They've actually obstructed my Facebook page from Restream to state that it's not confirmed. My Facebook page is not confirmed. So I'm able to share it's just nonsense. The censorship go through of what I say, and no, I may not say it in a way to be politically correct, but I say that people understand. That's if we're able to get this message to to people, to have them understand the importance that we really do play, how big of a role we play in our everyday governmental institutions. And we realize that it comes along with the saying, when one ant stands up, they all stand up. Well, I firmly believe that the more we can bring this to people and let them know that, hey, our institutions aren't in our favors. They're corporately run. We know the system is not geared for us. And we know damn well that if we even speak up about this, they're going to reprimand us like what they did to Pat, Tamara, Chris, whoever, or the guys in the United States with the insurrection of January 6th. That's what they're going to try and do. See, even people are saying it's cutting in and out. I've never had a problem like this in trying to get this story out. It is what it is. We'll go the way we go. Some people are going to record it and then we'll just put it up on the page after that. But it's gotten to the point now, or got to the point where I think it's time that people realize this can happen to you, and it can happen to you in a really big hurry. And my lawyer just put in here, I see the comments. Who gets this kind of nonsense from holding a picket sign or a protest sign and staying up and saying, but charged with counseling mischief, consulting intimidation, counseling obstruction of justice, obstruct police, mischief, intimidation, counseling the obstruction of justice, intimidation by threat or injury, counseling to disobey an order, offense dates dating back from December 1st to 2021 to February 19th, 2022, even though I was arrested on February the 17th, and we didn't get to Ottawa until January 29th. So how am I being charged from things on the 1st of December when we didn't get to Ottawa until the evening of the 28th? So when they do that, they're realizing their mistakes and stuff. And what we're getting now is we're getting an onslaught of disclosure evidence from the Crown that doesn't even pertain to anything. It doesn't have any bearing in what they're trying to use, but they're overloading lawyers now. And you're seeing it in Chris and Tamara's trial. If you're paying attention at all to that, you're seeing the unsurmountable amount of evidence that's just redundant for the case. So they're wasting everybody's time. Now they're using the excuse, well, we got to file motion after motion after motion after motion. because they're caught. They're caught that they did something wrong. They're not going to get the convictions they want. So we're going to try and milk as much money out of these guys, hoping we take all their retainer away, their lawyers won't be able to work for them anymore. Or two, that we just make it so expensive they can't afford it. So in the meantime, all this evidence we need to look at, all this stuff we need to extrapolate, what's in our defense, what do we have to defend against? And there's not enough time in the day. And you heard Natasha, she's in the room. So ladies and gentlemen, this is for fundraising purposes, and Natasha is in the room. She's here in the background. But what you're seeing is them trying to overload the lawyers with evidence, because the lawyer has a duty when you pay for them. They have to do what's in your best interest. They have to work for you, and they have to make sure that you get the best chance at the best possible opportunity, best outcome of what you're paying them for. So what are they going to do? The Crown is going to dump and overload the lawyer to try and get them to slip up, because nothing that they have has any weight in what they're trying to say we did. I've seen the disclosure. I've seen partial bits of my disclosure, and it doesn't look good for them. And that's my honest opinion. I'm not a lawyer. Natasha can speak for that. But from what I saw, it doesn't look good for them. But what they're going to do is they're going to make your life a living hell, and they're going to attempt to silence you and stifle you in every way, because that's what bullies do. That's what bullies do. They bully you to submission. And that's what our government institutions are. Right now, they're giant bullies that consistently, attack us because they know they can.
And they can't bully everybody, right? You can only bully a select few people. You can only really bully a couple people. Oh, where'd Pat go? There he is.
I'm here.
Okay. But no, if we look at it like, like a cicada, like, when the cicadas wake up, they take on, and they're a swarm, and there's there's no singular, if one cicada falls, the swarm continues. And that's what we need, is a cicada revolution in Canada, in the US, and really all across the world, to stand up peacefully and declare and really, I don't know, is it demand justice, but actually act it out too. I had a good chat with that guy Chris from Police on Guard for Thee, and there's a lot of police officers out there. There's a lot of RCMP. There's a lot of regional and city cops who are pissed off too, and who swore oaths, and they want to stand up and protect, but they need to know that their brothers and sisters in the service will be there together. And so that's where we need to band together underneath not what the boss is telling you to do, but what your oath and your heart and your duty is telling you to do, and stand up and don't allow for if someone gets charged with something, they should be given a speedy and fair trial, not 150 days, including 30 days in solitary confinement. I mean, are you kidding me? That is torture. That's inhumane. That's the kind of stuff that would make massive headlines if it happened on the other side of the story here. But because this is the the alt-right, if you will, which is ridiculous. But it's like you're literally just asking friggin' questions. So keep asking questions, hold them to account, and take positive action, and everywhere we can. And
well, my question is this, and we'll pick it up now. We know what happened, and a lot of the people that I'm seeing in here are familiar with what happened. And unfortunately, Kyle, this isn't getting shared to my page, or else there would be an absolute bombardment of people in here. I'm sure of it. But pick up from where we were, Kyle, when we were talking about what was going on at the time with your brother, about how, you know, you had said that they have something on him, that he's this isn't the brother that you knew. And you look at where you're at now, and where everything we've talked about and everything we brought up is being found true. Where do you believe your brother's at now with this? Where is he? Where do you think his mindset is with all of this? Like, where can we figure out? Like, let's put a pin on where he is. Have you spoke to him?
I mean, I haven't talked to him since the beginning of this whole, like, you know, in the very beginning, I was trying to be very helpful and supportive, and then, you know, I tried to bring some positive solutions, and it was met with severe resistance. At which point, I was like, nope, pretty clear, like, this isn't about public safety. This isn't about the well-being of Canadians. And it was also clear, and I mean, it's been clear, come on, everybody knows he's not in control. He's an energy vacuum. All those fuck Trudeau flags, that honestly, I'm pretty sure was like part of the provocation of this. It actually provides a negative slant on it, and it makes Justin the energy vacuum for everybody's hate. Obviously, he's the prime minister, and he's like, you know, that figure, but he's set up to suck in that energy, just like Bill Gates is set up to suck in that energy, just like Klaus Schwab, just like the World Economic Forum folks is set up to suck in that energy. It's distraction from, you know, the real policy people, the corporates, the corporatocracy, those who are providing, you know, the diktat of where to go. And I don't think, honestly, I don't think Justin can you know, I'm not even sure if he wanted to resign. Like, could he resign? Like, you know, that's the kind of situation. He signed a contract to, you know, to be the party head, and, you know, of the Liberal corporate party. And I think he signed up for the first 5 or 6 years, whatever it was, when it was, you know, all lovey-dovey and all good, and was a loved celebrity. And then all of a sudden, like, he had to play the role of you know, the whatever, this whole, during this pandemic, you know, throwing it down like this and being the, you know, the authoritarian. And it's absolutely terrible. And I mean, and you know, he's like, I've said it, but he needs to say it too. Like, he's got to own up and take responsibility for his actions. You know, otherwise he's going to be in for another long period before, you know, he gets another crack at you know, the promised land.
Well, I'm afraid. I'm not afraid. Actually, I'm quite confident. I wouldn't even call it a fear, but I'm pretty sure that he's going to go to jail from what he's done, from what's going on. I really do feel that the only outcome is jail. Now, whether you got millions or not, I don't think the people are going to just stop at you paying a shit ton of fines and being able to get away with, like, what a lot of these I don't even want to call him an oligarch, but these rich people, I don't think he's going to get away with paying fines. I really do think they're going to make an example of him. And I feel that he is going to see the inside of a jail cell. And in my mind, there's too much right now of what his hands are involved in. There's too much with what he's done to the people, myself included. You know, there's people out there. You just can't get away with what you're doing. If you and I were to do this, Kyle or Sonny, if one of us were to do this, we would be in jail, locked away, and you'll never see us again. I think it's gone past the threshold of possibly walking away. I think we will see the jail terms coming, and a prime example is the okaying of the ArriveCan app. And we're seeing the corruption in behind that, and that goes right to Chrystia. That goes right to her.
I mean, she is also, like, heavily implicated, and
yes.
so is the transport, and so is their whole friggin' caucus.
That's right.
You know, and the party, and, you know, and that like, you know, the excuse that we're just doing, like, you know, what we believe. Honestly, this is what Matthias Desmond says about, like, this mass formation hypnosis or psychosis. It's like, I think they actually believe like somehow that what they're doing is right. Like they're so in it that they truly believe, you know, maybe that what they're doing is just and right, and that we are somehow like, you know, out to lunch. But, you know, we absolutely have to have open discussion, and they just will not engage in discussion. And it goes on both sides of the friggin' aisle too in that house there. You know, you guys aren't asking questions. You're not answering questions. It's not open, honest discourse debate. And you can't have effective governance of, you know, the once great nation of Canada, you know, with this type of atmosphere taking place. And there needs to be, it's just like, honestly, it's follow the friggin' money. Follow that money. Just follow that money. Like, because there's bills, there's records, there's bank records. Follow the money. Look to the tests, look to the vaccines, look to the arrive can, look to the track and trace, look to look to who got the free money. It's just follow the friggin' money, and you're gonna see a lot of these. And then also look beyond, you know, the political signers on it, who are the lobbyists, and understanding too when it comes to like the pharmaceutical companies that hired the government of Canada and the political agents to be their salesmen and be their shills for their poisons. Like, you know, those companies too cannot be just given fines, because pharmaceutical companies for far too long have paid bribes, codenamed fines, to get off the hook for murder, death, just terrible things, you know, over time. And so, you know, we really need to have accountability, responsibility, justice. And, you know, for people who were in there and know it, it's grab that friggin' whistle, guys, and start blowing, documenting, and getting the truth out there as well. That was one of the things we needed for long, is like everybody to be given. You should, instead of giving everybody in Canada $4,000, give everybody in Canada a friggin' whistle and tell them to blow that whistle and tell them what they're seeing, because we cannot operate in secrecy. And like, you know, you cannot go along with knowing things are wrong when they're clearly wrong. Like, stand up and you know, and there needs to also be like, the thing is, there's a lot of people, and I'm not trying to like, you know, say that what Justin did is okay, but there's a lot of people who, like, you know, got played and then played the game, and we can't, like, I don't think like, you know, this, like, you know, like Nuremberg, for example, they only selected a few patsies to actually get hung there. Like, it was not everybody was implicated. They took the best minds, they shipped them over to Germany or to the U.S. and to other countries. But they made a stage out of that. But we do need, like, you know, we do need to create something. There was that guy Matt Holloway the other day, or George Holloway, or one of some Holloway, who expressed on Bill Mayer that they deserve forgiveness for their actions in recommending the fake vaccine, the poison, like the lockdowns, everything. They deserve forgiveness because they were just trying their best. But in his whole statement, he failed to say the most important things, which I'm sorry, and admitting fault and taking responsibility for thy actions and asking for forgiveness. You cannot expect forgiveness ever. You must apologize, but declare you're sorry. Please forgive me. Be thankful to the opposition. Be thankful to the resistance, to, you know, to those who have been standing up, and ultimately show love. And that's really, my opinion, what has to happen. And then there also needs to be a blowing of the whistles and telling the stories. And I'm sure Justin, I'm sure Christia, I'm sure there's a bunch of people within the apparatus who have stories to tell and that need to come out. And unfortunately, I have a feeling that there's some dark energy out there, and there's some dark stories, you know, that will threaten and shatter, you know, a lot of people's worldviews. But unfortunately, and for us to move past this and to heal ultimately from this, because as much as they also, like, you know, impose this will upon the people, they also divided our country. They divided our families. They've ruined our businesses. They shut down so many businesses in Canada. They made the corporations, like the mega corps, like the Amazon, the Microsoft, just billions of dollars. But they shut down the small businesses, the mom and pop shops. And then, you know, then I remember with this whole, with the trucker, with the convoy, all of a sudden it was like, okay, we're shutting down the bank accounts. And then it was all of a sudden like, okay, next page. And Ukraine, folks, Here we go. Unlimited support to Ukraine forever. We're not going to question anything. Christia's been there. She knows all about it. She's going to be our point person on this. And we're going to write unlimited blank checks with no accountability to Ukraine forever, because Russia bad, Ukraine excellent. Ukraine is a shining example of democracy. Justin says that all the time. They always say this. They're a shining example of democracy. They're the furthest thing from a democracy. They don't have an opposition party. It's absolutely crazy. Anyways, I've gone on for a bit here.
Well, it's exactly that, Kyle. I'm sorry, I was playing with my thing trying to get it to work. I don't know what's going on with this.
Yeah, it looks like all of our comments have kind of stopped on here.
Wait, guys, I just checked, and we've got 450 people on right now. There's there are a lot of people watching. Yeah, and I just checked on Pat's link there.
It's linked to my Facebook, my personal.
Yeah, so one of your two is definitely working because I'm on it, and there's and the comments are streaming like crazy on your page, your Facebook page, but for some reason they stopped coming through Restream. Yeah. So we're definitely streaming, guys. There's a lot of people on. Hey, I want to just say a couple of quick things. I've been pretty silent, but just really, really quickly. Pat.
Yeah.
Pat, you are the savior. Okay. I know right now you're in a tough position, and my heart goes out to you as a fellow Canadian. I'm embarrassed to know that what's happening to you has been happening to you. I'm getting a little bit teary-eyed. And I'm sure people can really, really empathize with what you're going through. But I want to say something. Look at the world before what happened with you and everyone, and then look at the world after. The world, not your world. Your world is devastated, but I'm saying the world at large has turned around big time. Okay, you cited Alberta. I mean, the lady who's running Alberta now is literally the complete antithesis of who we're talking about, right? The Prime Minister.
That's true.
You look at it at a federal level, what's happened literally in that week, right? A huge shakeup. You look at it at a global level, people like Elon Musk going and acquiring X and Twitter files. You look at RFK and the movement down south that's happening.
Yeah.
I mean, let's recognize how far you have brought us. I mean, because I really believe, and I've been watching this whole, this saga really closely, more as a spectator, but I really do believe that was a pivotal turning point for the world to kind of wake up, because that movement that we saw was something else. It was exhilarating. And I'm not gonna lie, I was packed up and ready to leave the country. I didn't feel like there was anybody else in this country that would fight with us until I saw guys like you and the people that actually did. And I had a chance to visit Ottawa. I still haven't released my videos because I'm not going to lie, I'm scared shitless too. After what happened to you guys, it was super, super freaky. However, the world is waking up. So I think the goal is just keep pushing. Yeah. And like I said, there's 500 people right now that's live, that's on here to watch you speak. So take it over, Pat.
Well, I look at it this way, and that's nothing wrong with what we did in the sense of the protest itself. There were other things and dynamics that were involved that, do I even agree with what happened? No, I don't agree with what happened. And that's kind of where some of the controversy came from with it. But, they're looking at us like, oh, we're just a bunch of rednecks and just a bunch of heathens and don't understand this stuff. Some of the people, and I want to say a majority of the people that were involved, and myself included, were actually very well educated. We're very well educated when it comes to this kind of information and stuff. Why is it wrong for us to be able to, if we say something, it's wrong, but when everybody else says it? So I look at where we're at now. Like Sonny said, I look at it where we're at now, and you're absolutely right. We did turn a turning point in all of this and brought up enough, awakeness, I guess, if you can say, on a global level, to the point that even if the Democrats, say in the States, try to rig the election, that the Republicans are so far past in points that they're not even going to lose. Even if they rig the election, they're not going to lose it. This is how much it has tilted the scales into the side of people are, and I hate to say this because of Polyev and his thing, but they're just common sense, man. We've lost the reins on this horse, and he is on full gallop across the field. Like, this is he's a runaway horse at this moment, and now we're gonna get those reins back, and you're gonna see that. My biggest
but we
thing
don't.
is,
I mean, in Canada, there's no like, there's nothing to require an election until 2025, right? Like these,
24.
like 24
every 4
20
years, right? He has to call an election every 4 years.
No, I'm pretty sure it's 25. I was well. I mean, that might be mine, but I'm pretty sure because we had an election in 21.
The thing with ours is he's allowed to sit as long as he wants. There's no 2-term sitting and then you have to get out.
Yeah, well, the deal that Justin made with Jagmeet to take their 2 minority positions, like, remember, only about effectively 20% of Canadians actually voted for the Liberals in the last election, and then a smaller amount voted for the NDP, but they were able to band together to form a coalition to guarantee all of their people got pensions. So all they're going to,
for sure.
by doing this, there was a key threshold. They're all going to get pensions for the rest of their lives because they formed this crooked deal to not be accountable to anybody, and to basically create a de facto majority. And now they're playing politics, and and there's nothing the Conservatives can do to trigger an election. So it's up to the only person who can help trigger an election is Jagmeet, but he's not going to do that because that puts their pensions in jeopardy for him and his whole crew and his whole staff. So they're not going to want to do that. So 2025. So basically they've just guaranteed position until 25 when that's when Polyev will very likely we'll see the Conservative Party take shape, and it's just another corporate party too. Don't forget, folks. And they might say the good words, but it's another corporate party. We've got to declare independence. That's why I like Bobby Kennedy so much. Like, he's declared independence. He says, no, you know what? This party system over time, this is why one of the reasons I don't want to speak for Sonny, but why we got into Bitcoin too, is because centralized systems over time become more secretive and more corrupt. And so the solution is decentralizing and new systems. And right now, the way that both American politics and Canadian politics, it's become so captured by the corporatocracy, by the big money interests, that the individuals, the people, have very little say and very little voice, even though they possess all the solutions, and they're supposed to be supposedly the masters, and the government serves the people. But it's not quite that way anymore, as Pat knows very well. He is being attacked and oppressed by the government and the justice system and the police officers, and you can bet your bottom dollar, folks, that all the police officers, well, not all, but most of the police officers across Canada feel absolutely terrible about what they've done. I think a lot of our military and a lot of our veterans too are also asking themselves, like, what has happened? And and everybody knows when they go to the grocery store right now and they get a thing of milk or a carton of eggs, that what is happening? It's like it's a very, very difficult situation. And people think, oh, in Canada you're earning $120,000 a year. It's like it's barely poverty line these days. But a lot of people are actually earning far less than that and just struggling to survive. And you're not alone if you're in that situation. We got major problems all across the board here, folks. And and it comes from reckless centralization and corruption.
It stems from too many hands in the cookie jar, and that's what I think our amount of public servants that we have is increasing to the amount that there's so many more managers than there are actual worker bees, that there's so many hoops that they have to go through. The mismanagement of the political system has too many chiefs, not enough, and I want to be careful of what I say because I'm so, you get nervous to say things. Oh, you're a racist, but the expression, too many chiefs in that political realm. And here we sit and we've got action. We've got things that we can do to change it and fix it. But we're not being, like you're handcuffed in every direction you go to. When it comes to the police officers, I don't care who you are, a police officer. And I know there's police officers that monitor my stuff when I talk, and I hope one day this gets to them. The fact that whether you like me or not, whether you like what we are saying or not, you can't deny the truth of it. Well, when you look at the truth of it, it's illegal, and you have a job, and your job is to catch the criminals. You should exercise what you've signed up for and arrest the criminals. Now we look at it, well, they're too scared. Well, then it comes back to us again. It comes back to the people. And I've seen it in the United States, and I see how it works for them. And I kind of admire the Constitution of the United States to a point. And I admire it as a simple fact as it's a document that's written for the people, by the people, but they forget the major part: to protect the people. And that is their right to bear arms. That's their right to hold government accountable. And it's their right to overthrow, and maybe that's an incorrect term. Let's not use overthrow. Let's go. They have the right to interfere or influence their political people with what they have in that document. And that document is legally binding. It stands in court. So if we can prove, or let's say they can prove that this is illegal and it's corrupted, which they are in the House and in Congress, and they're proving it left and right. There's a point where that threshold that we've been able to swing back onto our side and things, that the people are just going to take matters into their own hands, because that is their obligation. That's their duty as citizens under that document. Canada's document, and I'll just say it, our rights and freedoms in our Charter of Rights and Freedoms was never redacted. It was never ratified. It was never signed all parties at the same time. It was little bits here, little bits there, little bits here, little bits there. And then big bad Quebec didn't want to sign it, so they didn't. So that doesn't even make that document legally binding. And you're seeing our rights and freedoms being trampled on in Canada because we don't have that legally binding document like the Constitution of the United States. So there's a point where, okay, the citizens are going to have to bring in, the muscle or whatever, or stand up and make the corrections. Maybe it's Canadians' time to draw up our own Constitution, to have that put in front of these parliamentarians and say, this is a paper that we want adopted as ours as Canadian citizens, to protect us from what you're doing and what you've done. Maybe that's a course of action.
I mean, I like that, Pat. That sounds like now it sounds like, instead of talking about the problem, let's focus on solutions and let's focus on ideal outcomes. And we're missing, the Canadian Constitution. We're missing that Charter of Rights, like you're saying. And it might be time, every now and then, couples, they renew their vows just to check in, because sometimes there's things get a little bit afraid, so you want to just check in, reset those vows. And that'd be an excellent exercise for Canadians, government, all stakeholders, honestly, to convene and to discuss what our ideal outcomes are, what the Canadian Charter looks like, what it means, and really have an open, honest discussion, because we have to be able to have open, honest discussions. And if the government, the 300 odd people who make up our government of these elected officials, 300 people, if they don't want to participate in it, then big deal. Then but let's find a way to convene stakeholders all around. One of the things that I'm really learning a lot about lately are citizen assemblies, which are a very lovely concept where, you randomly pull people by lottery to look at issues, not just to you could consider it like a jury, but it's really to become, you take a random sampling of people, bring them together, pay them fair wages, not just like a little bit, to truly study and understand it, and then come out with a recommendation after looking at all sides. And something that similar type model can be applied towards potentially this. But this sounds like a lovely a good opportunity to, or something that's critically needed, because without that guiding this ideal outcome and guiding principles that under which we can all break bread as well, because there's going to be difference of opinions amongst everybody, and that's okay. But there should be like common ground, common massive transformational purpose that we can all coalesce together towards, and say yes, we believe in the fundamental rights.
Well, what about this? What about, and this can be done, right? And I know this can be done firmly. We put together what we want in our, let's just call it, because what we're familiar with, the Constitution. Now we did registered mail to every city, town, village across Canada, which is notifying all residents of said towns that here is what we're doing. Now we got them all confirmed that they've been notified, they have been informed, and they know that this Constitution is coming to their town, where they can have the ability to get together and put their piece involved on it. Then we have a list of knowing that we have notified every citizen across Canada that, and this could be a feat in itself, we could have people on the East Coast taking care of it, people in Ontario taking care of their end, Manitoba, Alberta, Saskatchewan, BC territories. And we have these town hall meetings where everybody's informed. And then we go to the Parliament, we go to, and, we go there and we say, we have this document that all the people, here's the list, and it has been certified because it's registered mail. And now we have this document up that we want read in the House Commons for the people, by the people. They have no choice. They have to listen to us. That's the process that we would have to do in order to get that. It's like, when they did it back in what was it? I don't even know when the Constitution of the United States was signed. This is a number I should know. But the Constitution, they only had small little, what's that?
1776.
Well, that was the
Declaration of Independence.
Declaration of Independence, yeah. I can't remember the Constitution. Must have been around the same time anyway, around that same. But they only had small communities, right? So they only had, your East Coast basically when they did it, and now it's time that maybe that needs to be, like you said, let's redo our vows and bring that back, and let's make it more structured to protect us. We're not used to the digital realm that we're in now. We're not used to oligarchs that hide behind shadow veils and shell corporations, and the things like they're hiding behind. It's time that we can put that down on paper and protect ourselves from that. But the last time they tried to do that, it was caused by a civil war. Right. So I don't want to see that. I never have, but I will never back down in my mind.
Yeah, I mean, that was the impetus that I like, what triggered me after that thing to be like, look, we must look at alternative models here. We need to have, we have representational democracy because that was the system that worked when we didn't have cars, when we didn't have telegraph, when they were doing that. We didn't have telephones. We didn't have internet. It took 92 hours via high-speed train to get from San Francisco to New York in 1870, I think was around that time. 92 hours in order to get a message from there to there.
Yeah.
Now we can send a message from here to the other side of the world in milliseconds. So the conditions have fundamentally changed. Do we need to have a government that's composed of representatives from specific areas? Because it made sense. You needed your representative for that location to then go to Ottawa to represent the interests of the people in that location. That's why that system works. It's no longer like the conditions have changed. We don't need that type of system. Those who want to participate in the decision making process should be invited and allowed to participate into it. And now with the technology that we have today, and as we've with the Bitcoin, with the blockchain, with the immutable ledger, with the privacy technology as well, we can do private voting, verifiable voting, where you can be able to verify your vote and others cannot see who you voted for. You can do proxy voting. You can do delegated voting. So if you want to delegate your vote to Pat on certain issues, you could do that. But if you want to delegate your vote to Sunny on certain issues, you can. Or if you don't want to delegate your vote to anybody, you don't have to. And then we can actually, instead of doing it once every 4 years, you can vote on, say, hey, Bill C11 or C19 or C21-1 42069, whatever it is. You can actually participate and share on that. And I really believe that's the solution, and we've got all the tech. Now what it's going to take is effort and to criticize by creating and actually going out there and catalyzing, and fomenting that movement. And I'll say that I talked to one MP who was very interested in direct mailing, like you said, Pat, direct mailing every single constituent within his riding and inviting them to use an app that would allow them to register their position on every single one of his votes. So whatever he was voting on, the people would actually be able to share their input and he would vote according to that way. That's a really great start, folks, towards actually understanding what the reality is of what the people want, because I guarantee you, if the people had a vote when they came down with that War Measures Act, rebranded the Emergency Act, where they shut down people's bank accounts, there's no fucking way that would have been passed. No chance
100%,
by the people.
right?
No
Exactly.
chance.
Yeah, and
no
we look
chance.
at it. I've done my investigations and research into the blockchain system. I do understand the minute, infinite amount of tracing that can go into the blockchain, right down to the I don't even know the cents, right. So when you're dealing with when you're dealing with that, but you can trace back to make sure that an investigation, if needed, to be done. Whether it's voter tampering or whatever they think. The blockchain doesn't lie. It is a system geared that you cannot get around.
You can't duplicate. There's no hitting the Xerox machine and creating a bunch of new ballots.
That's right.
That's one of the big things. Or having closed source technology like Diebold and Dominion that can flip votes or just fabricate votes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So it's you need to have that ledger of accountability, and then duly you can apply that to all government spending too. They want to put digital currency on Canadians first. You want to know what I'm spending all my money. You want to know what Pat's spending. You want to restrict Pat's ability to spend his money. How about first, every goddamn nickel that you guys move through your coffers is highly tracked and open and available for, doesn't necessarily need to be fully public, but is very easily accessible. And that is
and traceable.
And traceable, of course, and who signed off on the decisions is also critical. And once you change the system, so it's because right now it's full of holes. And when you've got a system that's full of holes, and it's the cheating becomes not just an outlier, it just happens all the time because there's holes. It's like the tax system. Everybody cheats on their taxes. It's the entire tax industry encourages, we're not sure how much cheating should be allowed. Is it this much or this? But you're probably safe cheating about that much. But if you fix the system where it's that incentive isn't there anymore, all of a sudden it changes. So
it becomes
the system.
It becomes to the point that we can actually trace back. So we see in these committees, these RAVCAN apps, oh, we don't know who did this, or we don't know what dollar went to here, or what. No. Sorry, hang on. Bloop, hit the button, and you're able to trace every financial transaction, every meeting transaction, every person in those meetings, everything. You in an instant, you can have that.
Mm-hmm.
But
and you can, and when you actually open it up too, whoever goes and checks on who's checking on it, that's also logged too. And that's how we can solve surveillance society as well, because we live in a world of CCTV cameras and where everything's being recorded. But right now, there's like omnipotent or omniscient view for the super admins who can be whoever knows. And if you use what in Bitcoin we call multi-sig wallet, so it's like you need 2 keys in order to unlock this video stream to see the bad guy. And it's like, okay, well, I have 1 key. I need law enforcement to have the other one, or I need a warrant as a key. It's like you turn it and it gets logged that, okay, it was open, because like, we have to restrict this surveillance. Like cameras are rolling, the IP cameras are rolling, but the network needs to be secured so that it's not, there aren't just eyeballs over it, accessing this camera, accessing that camera, accessing, the microphone in your friggin' toaster.
Right? Yeah. I don't know. I see the good and the bad, and I just think that there's too many bad people in the world that have access to this kind of power that we have to clean the closet out first before we can even start to implement that. But then when you start, to clean the skeletons out of the closet, I just see that with what's going on in today's society, there's a clean sweep, not necessarily a purge, but something drastic needs to happen. And now we talk about, from our conversation back when we were in Ottawa, to where do we go from here when we know that these guys are corrupted? We know that they're compromised. We know that they're, partnered with the wrong people, but yet our law enforcement won't step up. At what point can we, and I gotta leave that up to you to maybe make that decision for yourself or for your viewers. But at what point do we as people have to, and I just sound like I'm repeating myself, have to take that initiative and force these onto them? Or I just, without looking terroristic or looking aggressive or violent, sometimes good people have to do bad things to get to see the change. You know what I mean? Like that's that bad with the bad guys that are involved, that are so involved.
And understand too, it's like what happened in Ottawa wasn't bad, folks. Like that was beautiful. That's the thing. Yeah. Like what happened there wasn't bad. Like what happened there was peaceful civic engagement, like participation, immediacy, radical inclusion, radical self-expression, decommodification, gifting, participation. I mean, come on.
Bouncy castles.
Leaving no trace. Bouncy castles, street hockey, fireworks, late night dance parties, crime down 90%. Like, come on. Like what happened there? Yes. Okay. Some people still hear the horns honking and it haunts their dreams. But protests, generally do disrupt in order to get noticed. And by the end, things were, there was understanding as well, based on feedback loops that, look, let's be respectful, because we don't at the end of the day, this thing could never end here. So let's find a way to work together. But that situation that happened,
all we wanted was to be lied to again. If you had, if your brother would have come out and lied to us one more time, we would have been probably out of there. I guarantee you. But the sad part of it is we don't have representation.
they shuffled him away. Like, like let's send your double to the Harrington Lake. Like,
right? Like all you had to do is lie to us one more time. And then the smear campaign that they attacked us with, like for the general public that ate that up with a silver spoon, you must be feeling really pretty dumb right now. Because everything that we talked about, everything that's come out in the news and the media, everything that's coming out in the scandals and all that stuff, it's all coming true. So I think if you look at it, we were right. We were. And we didn't want to be right. But then we were found that we were right. So now that these people were right, maybe we should start listening to them. Maybe a representative for the people should be established to come in and try and, I don't know, fix this.
Well,
Because
so we had the NCI, right? The National Citizens Inquiry. That's pretty
yes,
good. Like that was like, so that has chronicled. So, we're finding internet doesn't doesn't lie. Like, you can't hide anymore. So all like, the Justin Lings of the world and like, these different like, provocateur, the Evan Solomons, like, these provocateur journalists that were part of shaping the narrative. It's very clear in retrospect, that everything you wrote, you may have just been doing it for the paycheck and maybe doing it for the pat on the back, or maybe doing it to stay alive. But that is all like on the record. So you're gonna have to own all of the actions that you took, every single one of those speeches, every single one of those these like those actions that were taken, folks. Responsibility and accountability, as well as like barring future, like there's when you commit a crime, you generally go to jail, or you face justice in some form and fashion. Like there's punishment to deceptive, chaotic behavior, and hurtful behavior.
Well, they've done other things too, right? When we talk about what they did to us, let alone what I'm speaking on is the criminal aspect that they're saying that we did. Let's go to the civil aspect now. Now let's open this Pandora's box on what they did on a civil level. So what they've done now, and this is on the record and this is out, is they've gathered a group of Ottawa citizens that supposedly were affected by what we had accomplished, or what had transpired in Ottawa. So they decide to file this big lawsuit against us to not only hinder us on a criminal level, they're going to try and get us on the civil level now. So now we're being attacked by Paul Chump, and I'm saying that name because it's actually Champ, but he's an absolute chump for what he's done. And this gentleman is not a gentleman. He's an ambulance chaser, but he's a human rights ambulance chaser, And here we are. This is the reverse psychology on this. Is here we are fighting for our basic fundamental human rights, and you have a human rights lawyer trying to fight for the human rights of the citizen, yet you're fighting the human rights of what the human rights were, like it's
this projection. I mean, it's the same as the anti-hate network, just throwing as much hate as possible.
Did you hear Bernie Farber step down?
I mean,
yeah.
Anyways,
yeah.
This is what I mean. Like the biggest haters, and again, everything on record, and like the provocateurs too. And so, Sonny, you're gonna say something.
No, I was just going to say that, guys, people are still coming in with 500 people watching, lots of positive comments. People love you, Pat. It's crazy. And people are reminiscing about those couple weeks. Hey, guys, just to bring everyone's attention once again, that, this event we're doing is really to help Pat raise some money for his lawyers. So if you need or if you can, please, the information is on the screen, and we'd love your support. And I mean, I guess the fight starts here, right? And Pat was at the front line, and so anything you can offer would be of great help.
Yeah, and if somebody chips in $100 right now, Pat will take his shirt off.
Seriously. Oh, wow. Done.
Dead sexy in your crop.
Let's go. I mean, that's one of the things we can also we can have a little bit of fun with this too, because we had
I don't know. I don't know how much we'll raise with the shirt off thing, though. I think I'll make more money to be asked to put it back on.
All right. Well, maybe I can show some family photos.
Hey, we'd love to see your family photos, Kyle. Let's bring them up. Let's see what you've got. I'd be interested to see how some of those were for you. But hey, you know what?
There's a picture of my daughter right there. This is earlier tonight.
Oh, there you go.
There we go.
I look at it this way, guys, is yeah, we've been hit and yeah, we've been kicked in the guts, and myself, but not everybody has felt that brunt. But I do know that I would hate to see it happen to anybody else. I'd hate to see it even happen to the far lefts, like these BLM kids or, the Alphabet Soup crew and all that kind of, all of them. I would hate to see it happen to them. I really would, because nobody, I don't care who you are, deserves to have to go through what I've gone through or what I'm going through, on the basis of democracy, on the basis of freedom, on the basis of, just sheer wanting to just have a society that looks out for one another. This is how you're treated. I wouldn't want that for anybody. I think it's extremely unfair to do that to any person. So when the lefts hear it, and I hate even putting a category, put them in that little box. I think people in general, society in general, should never have to experience this, no matter who you are. And I hope that this resonates with some of the people out there who are on the fence and don't know, I'm for this and against this or whatever. Just understand that could be you. If you had something that you didn't like, or you wanted to speak up and you took to the streets and you protested, and then they took that away. We've got, and I'll go with it, with Palestinians and this stuff with Israel and what's going on over there. You see them taking to the streets. You see them desecrating monuments. You see them smashing windows. You see them wishing for everybody's heads to be ripped off and cut off and all this stuff. We never did that. We never did that. We were never even on the caliber of that. No. Do I understand that they have issues and they have? Yeah, well, yeah. And I look at it, where are their issues coming from, and where did this stem from, and what's the root cause of all of this? And man, that's a whole box in itself. But they had the right to do that, and they did it. But at the same time, there should have been repercussions to what they've done with desecrating monuments, smashing windows, threatening society that they're going to rip people's heads off. If I were to do that, I'd guarantee I'd still be in jail right now. And that's the God's honest truth. Now, am I taking sides in where I am? Actually, you'd be surprised at what side I would take in this, but I'm not going to say that in this, because I know the anti-hate network is going to try to do some way of spinning it, but I still think it's everybody's fundamental right.
And that's, yeah, absolutely. And and this is one of those things. It's like, it's like we saw there was the trucker, there's a convoy, and then all of a sudden, Ukraine, and then it's like, Ukraine's getting tired, and now this, and so here's this other thing, and it's like, and guess what? This is perfect, because what does it do? It divides. And you just want to divide. 9/11, 10/7. What do they have in common? I'll let you figure that out. Come on. It's not. I mean, it's these are the great. These are the great dividers, and war is ultimately the conspiracy. And how do we wage peace? And because at the end of the day, that was where probably that next leg of the the convoy was going to go to, was into peace, because I think there's general resonance as well. There's a lot of solidarity within this giant movement around no, we see through the this manufactured consent matrix vision to which you're trying to scare us into supporting. And when people are using fear, like as we so deeply went through, it's a, instantly guards should go up, shields up, red alert, folks.
Pat, I got a couple of questions for you, bud. So,
Yeah.
so on a pragmatic note, right? So, like I was suggesting, it does seem like the government narrative has shifted dramatically, right? It's from the Alberta side, like I said, Canadian side, U.S., and the ripple effect is spreading. You probably have more people follow you, respect you, love you than I've ever met anyone in my life, right? So have you considered that path, like with the lady who's running Alberta now? I mean, is there some way that you can drum up actual support and perhaps play a move in the Canadian political system? Is that even something that you're at all interested in, or not really?
For myself, I know the way these guys play, and they would try and do their best to try and smear campaign me. So that's my first fear is of that. The second one I have is I do know, and I just came from a meeting this afternoon, and it was brought up to my attention that they find me very controversial. And that's straight from the horse's mouth. Danielle Smith thinks I'm very controversial. But it's because I don't take sides. So to become a politician, I wouldn't be able to be said conservative, I couldn't take a side in that. I would be that person that would agree with everybody, but then frowned upon from my side and adored, or vice versa, I feel that if given the opportunity, that I think I would be a fantastic leader. The downfall is I'm not going to appease to certain people. I'm not going to let the snowflakes tell me that I offended them. That's not my job. If you're offended, what are you offended by? That's something for your mom and dad. If you're offended at 30 years old over something I said, then I think you need to go see a psychiatrist. But at the other time, I would be that crass, like John Dutton, like Yellowstone John Dutton kind of attitude. I would clean house. I would find overspending, and I would fire people right there on the spot. And I would restructure things, and I would change it. And I don't think they're ready for a steamroller such as myself. I don't think I would be able to walk into an establishment such as the political realm and be able to feel that, I'm going to make a difference. They're going to try and snuff me and keep me in a box and make sure that I don't get too much camera time, right? Like, they'd be afraid of what I'm going to say. I've sat down with millionaires and billionaires, and I've sat down with poor people, and I've worked in industries where some of the scuzziest environments. I've worked in some of the nicest environments. I've gone from slaughter plant floors to high office, corner office positions. I know what it's like to be in the trenches. So not for one instant would I allow a politician to try and, a fellow colleague, let's just say, pull the wool over my eyes.
Well, and what about on the communication side? Like, you're obviously a very good speaker. You have a huge following. And is it true that, I guess, because of your court case, you're not even allowed to have your own podcast? And the only thing you're allowed to do is, I guess, request for funds? I mean, what's the deal with that? Like, because it's obvious that they're censoring you. I mean, I can see it everywhere. Like, our comments aren't coming through anymore. They've got NAN written on Facebook. I mean, they're definitely losing their mind right now.
I
do not compute.
It's comical that they go to this extent, but it's actually pretty sad, really, when you think about it. But what was the question? What are you saying? Like on a podcast for fundraising right now? I think this is their flex. Like, oh yeah, he's not allowed to be on Facebook. He can only do it for, ladies and gentlemen, this is for fundraising purposes. All donations can be donated to my lawyer at natasha.calvino@gmail.com. It's like my own little ad campaign that I'm doing. I think this is the way they're going to flex it. Show that they have the power over you.
Can you do a daily podcast? Like, for example, can you just go online
So
every day
I
and be
do
like,
do
guys?
my podcast. I
Nice.
do, and I have stretched that threshold that I was allowed to go over. I've had a few warnings. Be careful, you're going to breach. This is why my lawyer is in the room and, and observing, because you see they've lifted the publication ban on my conditions, which means now I can talk about what they're doing to me. And that's the key point. Before, I would try and tell you what they were doing to me, and I would get in trouble because I'm not allowed to tell you what they were doing to me. But now, with what's going on with our case and our trial, I can talk now about it. And this motion after motion after motion. Oh, we need a JPT, which is a judicial pretrial. We need this, and this, and this. I can finally talk. So when it comes to a podcast, probably now I could tell you guys and progressively move back into it, doing my interviews and doing my podcast. The thing is, right now, I have a crown that hovers over me like a helicopter parent, and he watches everything I do. And I'm afraid that for him, I'd give him a heart attack if I started a podcast, because he'd be just chomping at the bit, and I'm trying not to make waves. I guess I don't want to make too many waves and get myself, caught or saying the wrong thing. But at the same time, I don't think I should even have to be doing this. Give me my bank accounts back. Give me my bank accounts back. Give me the ability to go to work. Give me the ability to. You wouldn't even catch me on a podcast. I'd be working hard back in the bush again, and you'd never hear from me. So,
well, I think we want to hear from you, Pat, though, and I think the days of that, I think we're entering this next stage where we've learned so much going through these trials and seeing how the system is, that you might not want to be a leader, but you're merging into that, and there's that opportunity to do it. And I see there's this is a story that needs to continue to be told. And if you can speak at fundraisers, I mean, shucks.
So this is something else that has been brought up as well. And maybe I'll just release it here on your show, Kyle, and with you.
Oh, let's go.
There is talk of a nationwide tour. There's been talks of a nationwide tour. If we are able to get some of the conditions that they have lifted, it will be for fundraising purposes, and it will be packing auditoriums and packing speaking halls and things like that, to bring out that message again of, okay, we can't take to the streets. I'm not allowed to speak in protest. I'm not allowed to speak at events with regards to convoy related things. Well, how about if I'm only allowed to do for fundraising purposes only, we take to the roads again. We start packing auditoriums, and we start speaking and for fundraising purposes. But we'll come and do, speaking engagements for a charity of that community. We'll raise funds. Half of the funds will go to the community charity, and half of the funds can go to my lawyer. In that aspect, we've looked at these opportunities where we haven't done it yet. Or they're just kind of in the mix right now, but that could be a way, and then document it on the way, like a tour to trial. Let's call it the tour to trial. So we'll start on the West Coast and work our way all the way to trial in May, because that's what we postponed it to now. It was supposed to be at the end of this month. It was supposed to be November 27th, but we've postponed it and delayed it to May. So we do a tour leading right to the city of Ottawa, and we come in off that, start our trial, and then
can you what if you live in like an RV? Does it mean you close the door at 10 p.m.?
No, because we're going to get the conditions dropped.
Okay. We're
going to go for a bail review. Yeah. So I think my lawyer was telling you that before we got going there. The Crown won't budge on it. I don't know what he thinks if convoy related things happen after 10 o'clock or what. if there's a secret society of convites that go meet
No, it's
behind closed doors after.
It's just further punishment. It's just
It is.
further. That's what it is. It's just
And he even agreed.
It's barbarism.
He even agreed, Kyle, to lift if I was to go to trial at the end of the month, he'll lift my conditions and lift my curfew for the next 20 days so that I can get prepared for trial. Oh, okay, but we're not going to go to trial now. We're going to go to trial in May because we want to see what the outcome of Chris and Tamara's trials are and the outcome of some other trials to get a good bearing on what you're going to come at me with. And we're not going to drop.
Yeah, well, I like that idea because I know, like, Clay Clark has his Reawaken tour down in America, and it's like, it's a traveling show that brings together people, and like beyond just like you speaking at them, it's also an opportunity for communities to come together, to share, to discuss, to have dialogue, and I think like that's really critical. And so, like anything we can do to like criticize by creating and take that step. And, maybe you've got a couple of trucks involved with it. Hey, that sounds kind of fun.
Oh, no. I mean, like, hit the road, just drive down the road. No. None of that.
No trucks. No.
Oh, boy. Can you imagine? Oh, no.
Oh, boy.
But
yeah, Sonny, I heard there were some people that are talking about going to visit Anthony Fauci when he comes to speak. When's he speaking? Where's he speaking again?
Fauci? Isn't he speaking in Ottawa?
Is he speaking in Ottawa?
I think it was Ottawa. Yeah,
guest of honor.
Yeah. But I look at it. They've done a lot to shut me up. They've done so much to keep me quiet. They've done everything they can to take my tongue out of my mouth. They've cut it off. There was almost a year where I wasn't even able to talk, right? So for a year, I wasn't even able to be on social media. I wasn't even able to even look at a social media. So that's another part of the old, slap on the hand. Then we've got, we're going to give it back to him, but we're going to give it back to him so he can do it only for fundraising.
If there's one reason, that's a pretty good reason, though.
Right? But so now I look at it this way. Okay, you've done everything you can to shut me up. It didn't work. We were able to.
They've spent on you.
Oh man! Oh,
how much is the Canadian government? How much has the Canadian government spent on prosecuting and attacking you, Pat? Because that's an interesting question. I think that would be worthy of a freedom of information request if there's anybody out there who's interested in doing that.
I requested
one. It would be really interesting to know how much the Crown has paid, how much the lawyers have paid, how much the judges have paid, how much the security details, the knocks on your doors, the phone calls, everything is costing. Because that's all money that could be going to Ukraine, folks.
Okay, so this it's tough to see. See if I can bring this up for you. Actually, you want to see something? I'll share it on your screen. You want to share this? This is a good one for you guys. You guys are going to appreciate this one. So I'll share this on your screen. Let me just pull it up. Okay, share screen right here. Yep. So you want to share that? I'll read it to you if you can bring that up, Sonny. Okay, so I requested from CSIS, Canadian Security Intelligence Services, a Freedom of Information document. This is my file number and everything on it, where I lived. And it says, Dear Patrick King, this refers to your Privacy Act request of August 30th. I'm requesting all Freedom of Information documentation regarding my person. Please send all documents to the address contained in the required request fields. This is to CSIS for my Freedom of Information. Now it says, based on information contained in your request, please be advised that the personal information bank listed below was searched with the following results. CSIS record CSIS PPU 045. The governor and council has designated this information bank an exempt bank pursuant to Section 18 of the Privacy Act. Further to subsequent Section 62 or 16, subsection 2 of the Act, and they start citing all these acts. So this is a copy of what
we
they're
neither
saying.
confirm nor deny the existence of requested information.
100%. In accordance with the Treasury Board of Canada Secretariat policies on access to information. So that is something for people to see.
And the Treasury Board, folks, is the approver of all money spending, allegedly. So
Yeah.
the Treasury Board, they would be under that purview. So the decision makers who are signing off and then being able to follow that tree of decision making would fall underneath that Freedom of Information Act. And obviously, can't have that.
No. And that's just it, right? Like, I've requested this stuff because I want to see it for myself.
And the question in that is just, how much money have you guys spent on me
for my trial?
Yeah, for your trial. Like, how much have you spent on my detainment, on my incarceration, on the hearings, on the trials? Like, I know, like you said, what you spent like 80 grand or so, like, to date on this.
So far, we're at $70,000 in just the bail hearings, and the bail variations was 70,000. Now we've gone through. So in trust, Natasha mentioned that there's roughly 80,000 in trust. So then what they've done now is they've hit us with motion after motion, and I have yet to see the bill for the motions that we just went through. There was 1 week of trial, or 1 week of preliminary trial motions. Then there was just another motion for adjournment. I've got to be getting close to the $100,000 mark, and I haven't even hit trial yet. So, and for that amount that's been done, a lot of it come from help from other people. A lot of it, and I'm so grateful for everybody's help. For what they did. Had I not had that help, I don't think I'd be talking to you right now. I'd probably still be in jail.
Well, God bless, everybody for supporting and coming out, because, I will say, I remember talking to you last time we were talking, and all you were doing was helping. You were just giving. You were out there running money, running like support to all these other people who kind of come together. And that's the spirit of communal effort, that was going on. So it's nice to see others chipping in. And again, like, we've been on for almost coming on close to 2 hours now. I hope that, through this, we'll cover 1%. Just like we can do 1%, like, that's a big win. We can do 2, terrific. Do 5, fantastic. We can keep doing these again. And I think, you are free as well to continue to do, these types of engagements with other people now, so long as it's just for fundraising purposes, to keep, sharing the story of what's gone on. And, and as we go through these discussions too, it's not like we're just storytelling what's happened. It's actually actively, discussing and integrating, the knowledge as we, into actions going forward. And for the $100,000 that you've put on this, the government, it's got to be at least $1 million, like at least $1 million.
I think they're over $1 million just in the surveillance. So I've had for 2 years, more than that. Shit, for 5 years, 6 years. The officers that have tailed me, the RCMP that have followed me, the gang stalking, the
Hold on. Sonny there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Just as he said, just talks about that, Pat. Apparently you can't say the word gang stalking on internet anymore. It's amazing how the internet craps out sometimes.
Uh-oh. We lost him. Oh, he's back.
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry, I don't know what happened. Somehow
you were saying gang stalking?
Gang stalking, yeah. We see, the amount of stretch that they put the digital investigators that are in us, the criminal analysts that are profiling us, the criminal psychologists that are interviewing us, the guys that are monitoring what I'm saying all the time that is on
But
Facebook.
and like, just let's take a pause. Like, to all those people who have been doing that and listening to that, like, come on, like, what point are you gonna blow your freaking whistles too? Like,
Yes,
like
exactly, because they
like
know I'm not doing anything wrong. Why aren't you speaking to your superiors and saying, hey, like, really, are we wasting this much money to follow this guy when everything he's saying is right?
Right. And if it's like, and if it keeps coming down, like, now you're like, now you are actually like, based on the evidence, what you're seeing, like, okay, now you're like trying to entrap or trying to like punish or abuse or commit, whatever. Like, there, it feels like there's crimes being actually committed on that other side. And so I want to go back to something I talked to with Chris from Police on God for Thee. If you're a police officer, like, when you're in the station, you're reporting to the person above you. Like, the captain has command. But when you wear that badge, when you enter that car, when you go out there, you are in control. And if you have RPG, reasonable probable grounds, you can arrest anybody.
That's right.
So know that you can go out there while on duty and arrest people when you have reasonable probable grounds for it. And just know that, think about that, pontificate on that. And, ultimately, criticize by creating, folks. If you feel that there's something wrong, like, figure out a way that you can take micro actions or group actions or collective actions to, fight for justice, fight for our non-existent Charter of Human Rights, and, do the best that you can do. And, especially to all the, the boys in blue and the paramedics and, our Mounties, the boys in red with the great hats. Like, let's go. Let's go. And especially, within the RCMP too, guys, like, there's a lot, there's some dirt that's going on in there too. Like, you guys got to clean up your own house. Same with CSIS too. You guys got to clean up your own house. Like, focus back to what your purpose is, what your ideal outcomes are, and actually, like, coalesce and come together on that and take positive steps and actions forward towards cleaning up your house, getting your shit in order, and, like,
I think
not persecuting people like Pat.
I think one of the biggest things to do
Sunny.
is how I feel is, I think Canada needs to shut down for 5 years. I think they need to shut down, put up the walls, and let's fix what the problems are here right now. And even then, I don't think 5 years is enough time. But I think we need to fix these problems right now. Clean house, clean up our backyard, plant some petunias, plant some, some daisies, and, let's make that pretty again, so that then we can start opening up and looking at, okay, can we get back to work now? There's a big shit storm that's coming. I know there is. I can go into many of the different scenarios of what's coming down and what's going to happen, but
let's focus on the positive ideal outcomes, and that's what I'm hoping to see.
Like, and that's where I'm trying to focus.
We can look towards, like, it's like what Alex Jones has done over the years. Like, he's really laid out the blueprint for what we don't want to have happen, and put a lot of attention onto what we don't want to have happen. And I really feel that we don't need to shut down Canada. We need to shut down, like, the nonsense. We need to shut down the corrupt, super centralized, oligarchical, if you will, like, but this dictates coming down where the people have no. We can shut down basically, like, a lot of, our government institutions, or help clean them up. I mean, I feel like after, like, Sunny and I have been playing around in the AI space for a while now, and we've seen the power of it. And if I look towards, like, I've actually talked to a couple of people who work government jobs, and I was like, have you guys ever tried like this? Because, we can, like, I'm basically like, someone I know was like, oh, I got to work. I got to respond to these emails. I was like, well, like, with this tech now, I can basically turn your day-long job into 5 minutes worth of work. And so that's the reality. So, with the technology, days worth of work can be done in like 5 minutes or like completely automated. And Canada has this addiction towards jobs, and I mean this is around the world, but we have this addiction towards jobs for the sake of jobs, and it's like we'll pay people full salaries to just pick up a rock and throw it over the wall, walk around the wall, pick up the rock and throw it back over, and just do that all day long. And it's a job; they're getting paid, but it doesn't really like contribute towards society. So we've got a lot of good souls who are working like useless rock throwing jobs, and they could be doing what they love, loving what they do, actually adding value towards society, but they've got these golden handcuffs is what the Ottawa term for it is, for working for the government. And it's time to really, if you are in one of those positions, like start leveraging the tools that we have, be innovative and plan your exit for doing something that actually adds value and and makes you happy in life. Because and if you really love doing what you're doing, great. But if you're also like a dominator and you make other people's lives like poor, like reflect on that. Look in the mirror and say what you say to them to yourself.
Hey guys, I was gonna say is that so there's a lot of darkness in the world. I think we can all agree with that, right? And but I recently heard this that if you think about it, darkness doesn't even exist. Darkness is just the absence of light, right? So meaning if we can start shining a light just the way we're doing right now through Restream, through just connecting and with other souls, maybe they're again, if you would have asked me, Pat, 2 years ago, if I would have thought that the world could have progressed as much as it has in the last 2 years, I would not have believed you. Like I said, RFK wrote the book called the real Anthony Fauci. I've got it right here. And people are saying he might win. Like, WTF? Like I'm saying, yeah, Kyle and I completely shut down our live streaming because we were getting banned everywhere. Well, guess what? The richest man on earth bought Twitter, turned it into X, and says, no, you can say whatever you want. And Bhattacharya and all these guys can talk the truth. So we just need to shine light. So I don't know. So first of all, Pat, you're more than welcome to come on our show. If you want to do this daily, weekly, monthly, whatever it is, we'd be happy to host you. But how about you leave us on a, like, if you could wave a wand and recreate the universe as you wish to see it, let's say a year from now or 6 months from now, how does it end up? Like, I know that can go wrong in many different ways, but what does a win look like?
Straight up win for me would be for a wish list. All charges dropped, apologies are made. Whatever kind of financial compensations are made for the hardship, the pain and the suffering. I want to see, I would love to see all media organizations stripped of their rights to report. And I'd like to see an overhaul in the media aspect of things, where media is stockpiled with people who want to tell the truth, whether it's dirty, whether it's bad truth or not, it's still the truth. And it in no way propagandizes what a certain demographic of people can dictate what can and can't be said. John F. Kennedy is one of the ones who spoke about that firmly before his assassination. I want to see the people that forced my kids to get a jab through fear. I want to see them held accountable. I want to see them basically brought to justice for what they've done. I'm an occupational health and safety professional. I know the threshold in adverse health effects when it comes to vaccines. The threshold is so low that the amount of deaths or the amount of adverse effects, this should have been stopped within the first 3 days of rollout, not 3 years. A lot of people are in a lot of trouble. And I want to see them people absolutely. And I'm not one for capital punishment, but I think this is a message that could be sent for the extreme aspect of what has been done. But I think capital punishment in this sense would be appropriate measure to make people toe the line and make sure that they do right next time. I do believe capital punishment is the answer to this, for those that have done what they've done. And then I want to see an absolute, not a Burning Man, but a celebration of people coming together and a giant hug across the world where people can say we've been damaged beyond repair. But if we can just hug ourselves and hug each other and show each other that we have each other's backs again, we can start to rebuild from the ashes or from the rubble that we're in now, and bring the world back to loving one another, helping one another, and making sure that we're not harming one another. And I think only that would be a utopian world, where we live in a dystopian thought process world right now, because we only see chaos at the end of this tunnel with where we're going. Well, what if we've maybe had that part in the fraction of time, where you're going down the path and then all of a sudden, we went off on this realm, and now we just laid the fundamental groundwork with everything that we've done over the last half a decade here, and we've laid the foundation and the groundwork for that society to come. Maybe. And optimism and hope is a big thing. And I'm very optimistic and I'm very hopeful that this is the path that we're going down. And I really feel that on a judicial side, these charges will get dropped. I manifest it every day. I don't see myself seeing the inside of a jail cell. I see the corruption being exposed. I see hardworking Canadians doing their work and getting their, rolling their sleeves up and actually getting in there. And I'm talking politicians that are actually getting to the meat and potatoes of this. Unfortunately, the system isn't designed to happen overnight, but we're seeing the ripple effects now. So I really feel positive and optimistic and hopeful that this is the of our existence, that we're going to see that peace and that change that we've all so longed to see in this world. That's it in a nutshell.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. What are you thinking, Kyle?
I mean, definitely the giant party was resonating with me. Like, really, music is one of the ways that you can really bring people together and raise the vibration. And, if we can dedicate some energy towards creating an inviting container towards healing and celebrating, connecting, I think there's a lot that can be done there. To Pat's audience, and to anybody who's watching, I think one of the key statements that I kind of try and live my life by, and I'll say to Justin and to everybody on that side too, is this word Ho'oponopono, which is this Hawaiian healing ritual, because we got a lot of healing to do, and and amongst our families too, and people who we don't believe the same way as us. They might be underneath the matrix spell, but still, the Ho'oponopono can help heal these relationships. And it starts by saying, I'm sorry. Because even we might believe we were right in everything we've done, but maybe some of our actions weren't done perfectly. Maybe we said some bad words. I'm pretty sure. Pat, have you ever said bad words to people that you kind of regret? You probably
100%. Your brother
we've
being
all
one
done,
of them.
We've done
Kyle.
that. We've said some bad words, so we apologize. We just apologizing, asking for forgiveness. And please forgive me. Being thankful for, especially with family and friends, for what they mean to us, for how the impact they've had in our lives, both before and bad, the good and the bad, and then also just this notion of love as well. And really, because we need to put all of this behind us, or literally more move forward and heal and move forward together, and make sure that this shit doesn't happen again, that we don't get played like this. And we don't necessarily say that right away, but we start with that healing. I know I did that with my mother, and it made a huge difference. Just saying these words towards Mom, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I'm so grateful, and I love you. and like just like these are magical words. And also like, but and I would recommend before saying it to others, saying them all to yourself too.
Yeah.
Saying, forgiving, like apologizing to yourself for what you've done in the past and all his actions, forgiving yourself, honestly forgiving yourself. So move past, don't traumatize yourself forever for actions. Be very grateful for everything and thankful to yourself, and love yourself too. And then then we can move on to others. So healing, and healing the divide because it's through division that we're ruled. We're put in these identity pockets of left, right, L, G, B, T, Q, P, W, X, Y, Z. That just separate people. Or you like, man, I grew up in Ottawa. It was like, yo, Sens rule, Leafs suck. Oh no, Sens suck, Leafs rule. Like, sports are a great divider until like the Olympics, and it's like nationalism. It's like, oh, come together. But it's like, there's all these little tools and tricks that they use to kind of keep us divided, because they know, like, when we really come together and we can break bread on these higher level purposes and like, operate with shared purpose, we are limitless in terms of changing the paradigm. And so
I say it that way. Sorry, I just want to say that, to add to that, I've seen it already. I've seen, just in the time frame of being in Ottawa for the 3 weeks that we were there, the love, the energy, the hugs, the healing, and the absolute emotional roller coaster that people experience from that epic moment spread across the world. And I said that right to the investigating officer. I said, look what we've been able to accomplish when he was interrogating me. Look what we were able to accomplish in 3 weeks. We were able to destroy what they'd done in 2 years to us. And all by the power of our hearts, by the power of our minds, and just by healing. And it worked. And I seen the look on that investigator's eyes. He was like, yeah, kind of see that. Because we brought 27 countries aboard. We had 27 countries around the world that were supporting and getting on board with everything. And that was all by a power of our minds and our hearts and our heart frequencies. And it's an amazing power that people don't even know what they can tap into when you can get into that. So,
and Patrick, you brought up a really cool word, which is manifest. And Kyle knows I've been tinkering with that word. And so I do want to leave people on that note that our ability to manifest is unimaginable. It's very, very powerful. And I think the key again is to tap into that vision, right, that you so clearly laid out, but then to feel as if though it's already occurred, not to think that it's even sometime in the future, but to almost like close your eyes and feel like it's here, and
that's the key.
Yeah,
that's the key. Yeah, you already believe it. It's already happened. You've already seen it.
Exactly.
Keep going.
Exactly.
Ask, believe, receive.
Yeah. So true, man. Fuck, this is crazy.
Yeah.
So Pat, like I said, man, I don't know, Kyle, what are you thinking here? Should we bring this one to a close? But I'm down to do this right whenever you want.
We're
Pat.
pretty much done. I'm just gonna, like, on that note, I'm just going to just take off the 4. Make out Kennedy's president.
Yeah.
2024.
I haven't heard that for a lot of years, man, before I was born.
And this is also called the shortcut, folks. So you check out this style. See,
oh yeah,
you cut the bill of your hat down in half, and it's just,
you mentioned John F. Kennedy. You probably know RFK's relationship to him, right? And
100%. Yeah,
he has been on the offense. He even bought Bitcoin for his kids. He clearly mentioned that it was what happened to the truckers. And with the banks being shut down and all that, that was one of the main reasons he started waking up and taking a lot of this stuff seriously. And so yeah, man, I think, I mean, I know it's probably been a very, very dark road for you. However, you have given quite possibly millions of Canadians and beyond Canada, who knows how many people, hope. Right. And did more than hope, like the actual belief that we can make a difference. So for that, I'm infinitely grateful.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that it's hard to see through the mud that I'm in, but I do feel it, and I definitely have seen it from the people. I'd love to talk to Kennedy. Like if you got a connection there, Kyle, I think it'd be pretty cool to be able to have a conversation with him. When you talked about you liked the music idea, Kyle. Well, my meeting today was to actually put together a festival for this summer. We're going to be putting together a music festival to bring everybody together again. We did it with my rodeo for my fundraiser that we did here, and it was a hit. And we nailed it. Talked to the parts, and we're actually play. What we may have an in to get him here and do an outlaw country rock kind of festival with like back in the old days. Remember when you'd have Johnny Cash on the stage with Roy Orbison and Chris Christopherson and Kenny Rogers, all the old bad boys of country and rock, and put them up on the stage and do a really wild thing. We're even looking at Willie Nelson, Hank Williams Jr., even though he's getting up there in age. We're looking at bringing in some of the old country artists that, and I say country, but rock and roll as well. Leonard Skinner is another idea. Trooper, a couple ideas we're throwing out right now, but that's what we're doing. We want to bring it together on a fundraising level for charity to help communities and bring these events out. So music is one of the only things where you can have two differences. Like we could be black or white. Doesn't matter. We still like the music. We'll still go. I don't care if you don't like that. And, on the outside, we hate each other in whatever manner or whatever aspect you want to look at it. Not hate's such a bad word, but bring it up to, music and you'll get everybody there. Doesn't matter. There's no preference. Music will bring everybody.
I love that idea.
Yeah.
Love it as
so
well.
it's going.
Yeah. I saw on the Facebook chat someone said we should auction this hat off. How do we do that?
Ha!
I'm down for that.
You gotta mail it to the person, though, Kyle. You auction that hat off for fundraising purposes?
Yeah. In a heartbeat.
Really? There you go.
This hat, yeah.
Yeah.
What? Totally. But
you gotta sign it too.
I'll sign it. Be great if you could sign it one day too. Fortunately, I don't think I'm going to see Bobby anytime soon, but to get him, so I'll sign it. This is the original Kennedy shortcut too. So this title is definitely going to be pretty sweet. But how do we?
So the way I do the auctions on my page is I'll put it up for 5 minutes or whatever. I usually run it at the beginning. So hey, you know what? Let's bring it back. We'll do another one. Save that idea. Let's stick a pin in it. We'll save that idea, and we'll come back to it on the next time we do it, and we'll start it at the beginning of the show. All
right, let's do a Fat King fundraiser live auction, and this will be one of the items, folks. And I'm sure we can pull some other great items. I mean, I got lots of stuff that is awesome. So
juice up the package a little bit. That'd be great. I'd be so grateful for that.
Yeah, it's like there's we can do anything. I don't know, we can explore. But I'd be that sounds like a really great idea. And whoever mentioned that, thank you very much. And we'll get this done. Okay, Pat. Bro, thank you so much. Bless you. This has been 2 hours, 12 minutes, and 42 seconds of sheer, serious fun.
Yeah, we did it, guys. We're back.
Yeah, and maybe I'll be able to work out my Twitter as well, and I'll be able to get, because I'm verified on Twitter, so I can put it on my Twitter next time. We can get a little bit more prepared. I'll work and this was kind of short notice, so I'll get my actual platform on the Facebook Zuckerberg platform, and then I'll get my platform on Twitter working as well. So
perfect.
Yeah, we'll launch it. We'll get 10,000. Yeah, like when we were in Ottawa, I had up to 60,000 people in a live feed at one time. So maybe we could do something like that. Let's get all of them together and put a massive live feed together.
Let's go. We'll make it a dance party.
It is already done.
I got music.
There you go. Perfect. We can do a set of music in the middle of it. Awesome. Well, thanks very much, guys, for having me. It's always been a pleasure. Kyle, I stand by with where you're at, and I understand where you're at, and I understand where things are, and I love your energy. Appreciate it, and I look forward to coming back on again.
Appreciate you. Okay,
guys.
Thank you, Sonny.
Take care.
And Natasha, is Natasha still in here? Let's
Is
just
she
bring
still
her
here?
in.
No. She's
not.
left,
See how she
a
is.
while ago.
So she is just wonderful. You've got a good fellow soldier there.
Yeah, she's got the right intentions.
She sure does. Okay, well, look forward to hearing how this all went, and we've got updates coming up later. So thank you so much, everybody. Signing off for now.
Bye.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys. Cheers.